There's a sense in week 2. I mean, for one thing, this is not ideal cycling territory. I would not come here on holiday. I'm sure Russia's got a lot to boast for, but its trucks and its road quality make it seriously tough going. So every day's been pretty brutal on the bike. The big change into Russia in week 2 is things have just got a lot more complicated because, okay, navigation's simpler because we're not going through Europe, which is much more complicated roads. But this is the point on the journey where they've got by far the biggest team, and we've got language barriers. So we've got Russian drivers, fixers. We've got 3 vehicles on the road rather than 2. So the logistics are bigger right now, and they'll stay that way through to Beijing. So there's a lot more moving parts to the journey at the moment.
2 weeks in, and we're in the middle of Russia, and the progress from last week, everything's still good with the bike. And last week I was still slightly about some of the technical issues with the electronics and stuff, but we've kind of worked our way through those. So we've made progress, and everything's kind of on track now, in my mind. And in terms of the ride too, Mark's ride, that seems to be on track as well.
This week for me has been pretty interesting. It's very different from the rest of the team. I headed off from Germany to Moscow myself, and I spent 4 days there kind of building up the team of Russian guys that are helping us out. The first big challenge really was taking on Moscow. It's a very busy city. It's about, I don't know, I might be wrong, 15 million folk or so. I mean, it felt pretty dangerous in places, but we got through Moscow.
I guess the biggest thing this week was that Mark had a bit of a crash, unfortunately, so that wasn't too nice to see. He, just after quickly doing an exchange of clothing, he came out of the station and hit a pothole, meaning that he basically went over the handlebars and face planted, trying to slam down with his left arm, but also his head hit the ground. So
I thought I'd lost my front teeth. I thought I'd done a lot more damage than I had. So I sort of limped back to the vehicle, and in those first couple of minutes, I didn't know how serious it was.
He had a lot of blood in his mouth and was spitting out bits of teeth, and the biggest thing is that he cracked his left tooth, or chipped away the enamel on his left tooth.
It was sensitive, and that would have got worse and worse, so we had to get it covered. We had to put a temporary filling on it.
So thankfully, due to one is the social media, one of his friends who I think his wife is when he lives in Moscow, he saw the post about it and then said, do we want to get some resin and to protect the tooth? And then he helped coordinate stuff with UNA and the British embassy out here to get us some tooth resin for me to apply that and then protect the tooth. And it also meant it kind of smoothed the tooth over because there was a big jaggedy piece on it which was cutting the inside of his lip quite a bit. He looked like he might have had a bony injury to his left elbow, but that again thankfully was resolved quite quickly.
But we soon realised that the elbow was actually more of a concern, because in terms of my ability to ride the bike, having an injured elbow and one with very limited mobility was a great concern.
In a normal scenario we would have x-rayed or MRI scanned that elbow, but we just don't have the time, so as long as it's not affecting him being safe on the bike, then the decision was made that we would monitor it and see how it resolved, and thankfully over 3-4 days it's slowly improved really well.
This is a vast country, truly vast. Not a ton changes every day. The alarm goes off at 3:30 in the morning, you're on the bike at 4, and I've just needed to start thinking about it differently.
I kind of thought once we got past Moscow, the roads would quieten down and we'd be cruising across quiet Siberian plains, but the trucks remained with us. But Mark seems to manage to fly on oblivious to them, and he's going well. So he's going well, so the whole squad's going well.